One of the biggest offenses I've seen for this breed of big budget blockbusters is just turn your brain off. It's not that serious, it's a comedy. First off, huge disservice to so many classic comedies by assuming your brain switch has to be turned off to enjoy them. Second, you're just admitting that the movie is dumb, and not in a good way. You know what movie doesn't require you to turn your brain off to enjoy it? That one. Hello and welcome to the Martini Shot. My name is Brandon and today I'm going to be reviewing the 2022 Marvel superhero film Thor: Love and Thunder. But before I do that, let's electrify those taste buds with a tantalizing cocktail I've dubbed the God of Thunder. And hey, if you're interested in seeing more movie reviews and movie-themed cocktails, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. It helps the channel out a ton. So how can one possibly harness the thunderous power of Thor in one cocktail? Well, to make a drink with an electrifying mouthfeel, I've turned to a heavy use of citrus in the form of lemons and limes, as well as some added sweetness from a little bit of peach. That's all well and good, but I needed something to take this cocktail one step further, something to give it a unique taste that will give you a mouthfeel unlike anything you've ever experienced. So allow me to give you a brief botany lesson. There is a naturally occurring herb out there that goes by many names: Szechuan button, toothache plant, electric daisy, and perhaps most popular, buzz button. These little flowers have this super interesting property that when ingested causes this crazy mouthfeel that electrifies your salivatory glands and cools your mouth. Sounds like the perfect ingredient for this kind of cocktail, right? Well, buzz buttons aren't always the easiest to find, and when you can, they aren't exactly the cheapest. However, I came across a terrific product that harnesses the power of the buzz buttons into a flavorful powder that's perfect for cocktail rims. It's called Electrodust, and it's a powder that you can put around your cocktail rim or throw it straight into the drink. They were actually super kind enough to send me a free sample of this cocktail dust. You can buy their products straight from their website, and you can also find some really cool companion cocktail recipes to try out with the dust. Thank you again, Electrodust, for your generosity, so let's not waste any more time and get right into it. So this is going to be a shake and drink, so you're going to want to build this inside your shaker, and the first thing we are going to be starting off with is some Citron vodka. And we're just going to stick with 1.5 ounces. Next, we are going to be doing some peach schnapps. This is further going to add to the fruit flavors of this drink and kind of give it this almost candy-like taste. Something I've been trying to go for with this cocktail is making it very palatable for people that have a little bit of a sweet tooth. So we are going to do 3/4 ounces of peach schnapps. Next, we are going to be doing a 50/50 ratio of both lemon juice and lime juice at 1/2 ounce each. And then to finish off the drink inside the shaker, we are going to be doing just a little splash of blue curacao. I know I make a lot of blue drinks on this channel, but blue's my favorite color, so. And like I usually do, you don't really have to use a lot, so about 1/4 ounce or just a splash just to kind of get it onto that blue color. Let's add some ice to that shaker. All right, and let's shake to chill. So we are going to be pouring this into a tall glass. You're going to want something similar to a Collins or a tumbler. But before we actually pour that in, we need to get the Electrodust on the rim. So you would kind of do this just how you would salt or sugar a rim. We're going to be taking a lemon or lime wedge, and we're actually just going to be doing just kind of one side of it and just coating it in what they call a waterfall formation, just so it's a little bit on the front so it looks a little bit nice, but doesn't exactly coat the entire rim. So now that we have our glass ready, we are going to be open pouring this into the glass. And then to give it a little bit more body and to kind of make it a little bit lighter, we are going to be topping this with some sparkling water or club soda. Now I will advise you not to fill it up all the way to the very top because we have one more thing going on top, and that is a 1 ounce pour of this Empress gin. If you've never seen Empress gin before, it's this really nice purple gin that I believe is infused with something called butterfly pea tea flowers. And basically what those do is once you soak them in any kind of clear liquid, it turns it purple, but it also has this really interesting property that when it interacts with something that is acidic in nature, whether it be a carbonated drink or lemon or lime juice, there will actually be a small little bit of color changing that happens with that. Now, if you infuse gin with your own butterfly PTs, you'll find this to be a little bit more apparent. With Empress, it's not as noticeable, but I do like the little change in color that we can get going at the top. Plus, it's gonna add an interesting little botanical taste to it. So we're just going to layer that on top. All right, so once you have that layer of your Empress Gin on top, now you really have the God of Thunder. All right, I'll go ahead and give this a taste test, and I'll try my best to kind of describe the feeling of the Electrodust, since I'm sure a lot of you haven't tried it. So let's go see how it pairs with this drink itself. So yeah, the dust is super interesting. When you first taste it, you kind of get these citrus notes to it. So a lot of like lemon and lime, very similar to kind of like that beer salt you can buy at like Walmart, and also kind of just similar to the sugar on like Sour Patch Kids. And as I'm speaking now, it's already changing in my mouth. Now it's really getting to like the electrifying part of the Electrodust. So it's this really interesting sensation, not quite like Pop Rocks, but almost like a mix between just like the littlest electric tingle. And sorry, it's getting hard to talk just because of how my salivation glands are starting to flare up. You really do start to kind of like drool a little bit after eating it. But yeah, so it's a mix of like a little bit of like an electric intensity and almost like a spearmint kind of burn, like after gum or a mint. And even now I can already feel the change in that now. It's kind of moving into that cooling sensation now, kind of really leaning into that like spearmint thing. So, and alongside the drink, it's really good. The first kind of sip you get a lot of that gin that's floating on top, so you get that botanical element to it. But then as you keep going, you get more of the stuff inside, so more of the citrus, more of the peach. It is really interesting. It's really refreshing too, just because you kind of have that sparkling water going on in there, so it's not just the straight alcohol and juice. It kind of lightens it up a little bit, makes it very palatable. But I'm gonna take another sip without the Electrodust just to kind of get a better understanding of the drink itself. Yeah, like I said, the gin is the first thing you'll taste. So if you like gin, you get a lot of botanical elements there, very floral. But then once that subsides, you get more of the juices in there, more of the actual vodka and the peach schnapps, making almost this very candy-like taste to it. It's a very easy drink to drink, and if you happen to be able to get your hands on some Electrodust, it definitely kind of changes the whole concept around the drink. It makes it this really interesting mouthfeel experience that really this is the only kind of product, unless you were to buy Buzz Buttons yourself, you're not gonna get anything else like this. So like I said, thank you again, Electrodust, for sending me that free sample. I'm glad I was able to include it in this cocktail, and you should definitely check out their product over on their website. Now that we have our drink, let's jump straight into the review of Thor: Love and Thunder. If you've been following the Marvel Cinematic Universe for its nearly 30 film run, you may remember a time where no one really cared all that much for Thor Odinson. Chris Hemsworth always did a fine job with the character, but after a passable first film and a largely forgettable follow-up, it's safe to say that Thor was needing a serious kick in the ass if people were going to remember him for anything more than being the half-brother of one of the best MCU villains. Enter Taika Waititi, a New Zealand director known for his low-budget, quirky comedies and heartfelt dramas like What We Do in the Shadows and Jojo Rabbit. Before he was winning Oscars, Waititi was brought on to direct the third Thor film, Thor Ragnarok, which turned out to be a fantastic move because not only do I believe it's the best Thor film, it's one of the best MCU films, period. A lot of people complain about the MCU's reliance on comedy in their films about colorfully dressed muscleheads, but a comedic touch certainly has done wonders for the character of Thor. Ragnarok not only upped the public stock in Thor, but in Waititi as well, who is now going on to create new projects for Star Wars. Flash forward a few years to now, and another Waititi Thor movie may just be what Marvel's Phase 4 needed. That's what I thought, anyway. What the hell happened with this movie? All of the right ingredients were right in the pot, but somehow the final dish came out lukewarm and flavorless. Thor: Love and Thunder is essentially the sleepwalking counterpart to Ragnarok. A lot of what we see here feels half-baked, low effort, and sorely misguided. Sure, Marvel has slowly been trucking down this path for a while, but I really thought Waititi would be the one to pump some heart into these increasingly obvious products. The trademark Waititi wit feels shockingly absent here, with some of the laziest dialogue and humor in any MCU movie to date. Remember when screaming goats were a hilarious craze back in the day? Well, if you've recently woken up from a 10-year coma, you'll be happy to hear that there's a pair of goats here that make your eardrums bleed dry. Whatever charm that was in Ragnarok seems to have been switched out for surface-level emotions and themes. Chris Hemsworth does a fine job as always, but man does it feel like Natalie Portman and Tessa Thompson don't want to be here. And I mean, with the script that they've been given, I get it, but these two important characters feel super underutilized. Speaking of underutilized, we had the potential to have an absolutely terrific villain in Christian Bale's Gore the God Butcher, but he barely leaves an impact, which is a shame because Bale is giving it his all and is certainly the standout here. But he's utilized all too little and is never given enough time to really show how cool of a villain he could be. As for the visuals, they can be really hit or miss, and when they miss, goddamn do they miss. There's some interesting ideas at work here, like a black and white realm where the tiniest slivers of color manage to crawl through, but outside of that we get some of the worst green screen and visual effects the MCU has ever seen. And this is not a dig at the VFX team themselves, as it's now becoming more and more apparent how thinly stretched they've become with the movies and TV shows. So Marvel, that one's on you. I also feel the need to bring up the entire 80s aesthetic this film advertised because outside of a few predictable needle drops, I'm not really seeing the point. Was it all a marketing ploy because the 80s are still hot right now? Guns N' Roses are cool, but did we really need Welcome to the Jungle and Paradise City? There's a few bright spots like the aforementioned gore, an aggressively Greek Russell Crowe as Zeus, and a few cool action sequences here and there, but overall, this is such a letdown. Maybe I wouldn't care as much if this was a film from someone other than Waititi, someone whose films I've really enjoyed. I don't know what happened here and who is really to blame, but I think I feel comfortable in saying this is the biggest misstep of the MCU's Phase 4 films so far. Hopefully the famously smoothly produced Black Panther Wakanda Forever will be a bit more palatable. For my rating, I'm giving this film 2.5 lightning bolts out of 5. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Martini Shot. If you saw Thor: Love and Thunder, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. And if you like what you saw here and would like to see more, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow me across all social media channels. Those links are down in the description below. And if you'd like to see more movie reviews and movie-themed cocktails, be sure to check out my website, martinishot.blog. Until next time, thank you again for watching. I will see you in the next one. Live deliciously, but please remember to drink responsibly.